Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the ALDOT media briefing for this month. In just a second, we're going to turn it over to Jarvis there in the Birmingham office to make the presentation. Again, if you're having any problems hearing the audio, it's really important. We want to make sure you hear. You can listen through your computer or your iPad or whatever electronic device you have. You can also dial in for free using the telephone number in the audio bridge. At the end of the conference, we will unmute the lines. We will be glad to take any and all questions. During that time, if for some reason your microphone doesn't work or you would rather write your question down, you'll see a chat feature at the bottom right. You're welcome to use that as well. At this time, we're going to go ahead and turn everything over to Mr. Leonard in Birmingham.
Good morning. I'm Jarvis Leonard. I'm the East Central Region Engineer for the Alabama Department of Transportation. Thank you for participating with our monthly go-to meeting to give you a briefing on our project, the CBD project through downtown. What we'll do today is, as usual, we'll go through the project as phases, all phases of the project, and then we'll talk in detail about the upcoming closure that's planned several months down the road. As we've presented before, the project is broken into 4 phases. Phase A, 1, 2, and 3. They're color-coded on the map. Phase A was the lengthening of bridges of the 12th Avenue and 31st Street bridges. That was completed several years ago. This project was done to facilitate the new ramp configuration at Red Mountain Expressway all the way through 12th and 31st Street. This is a view of those bridges after they were complete. Phase 1 was the widening of bridges at 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Avenue North on I-65. This was done to facilitate the exit and on-ramps, the northbound exit ramps at 17th Street that is now currently open, and the on-ramps that will take you from 11th Avenue to 65 South. This is a view of those bridges as they were complete, and you can now see the actual view of the ramps as they exit and enter the interstate. Phase 2 is a project that we just completed, or doing some minor touch-up work to finish the project, but it's operating. It is the interchange at 5920 and I-65. In this project, we actually either constructed or widened over 21 bridges and with the new ramp configuration. This is a area rendering, photo rendering of the project that we've used for the last 2 years to give a very pictorial view of what the project was going to look like. This is a view of the project, how it looked a year ago in 2017. And in just a year's time, the project was complete and put in operation. And this is a view of those ramps as they function today. I'm going to show you a time lapse of that year. And you can see the construction as it takes place. The new 17th Street ramp is being constructed. The 11th Avenue ramps are taking shape. These are the 11th Avenue ramps. These are the 17th Street ramps that are taking shape. You can see the new ramp that will go to 5920 as it's being constructed. This is the new ramp to 65 North from the mainline bridges. All this work was done in a year's time, which shows how fast the construction can take place when the contractor provides the resources and incentive, and this incentive is put in place that we had on this project to encourage the contractor to finish on time. And as you see, we were able to meet our deadline. And the new ramps are functioning and it has changed the skyline of Birmingham. Phase 3 is the actual demolition of the bridges through downtown Birmingham and the reconstruction or modification of the ramps at Red Mountain Expressway and the ramps at 31st Street. And this is the mainline bridges through downtown. This is a view of the project. It's a photo rendering, which shows how the new ramps will look when we finish the project. These are the bridges I just mentioned earlier, the 12th Avenue Bridge, the 31st Street Bridge. You can see the new ramps that will be taking shape underneath these bridges. If you're coming into town from Atlanta, you would actually exit before you get to 12th Avenue. Follow a ramp that comes around all the way through and get on a bridge that carries you into 25th Street, which is your new access into downtown. If you're going out of the city, you would actually exit also. I apologize. Give me just a minute. You can actually exit here, and you would get on ramps that go all the way outside of town. So if you're coming out of the city, you would exit here to get to 31st Street. Or if you're going out of town, you would stay on 5920 and go all the way through. But the new ramps to get out of downtown would be at 25th Street. You get on the ramp at 25th Street, follow the new ramp and the bridges that go over the interstate. You get on a ramp that goes on to 31st Street back to 12th. We'll have a new ramp for Red Mountain Expressway, the 5920 southbound. The existing Red Mountain Expressway ramp will still be functioning once we complete the project. And also the new ramp to Red Mountain Expressway and 6 will still be functioning. This is what the project looked like in 2017 in September, and this is what it looks like today at 2018. This is a time lapse of that year. You can see the demolition of the existing ramp that was in place that went to 11th Avenue. That was demolished. The new ramps are taking shape for the on and off ramps to 25th Street that are being constructed as we speak. Also, you can see the 31st Street ramp is being constructed. The time lapse on the project is such that phase 1, 2, A1, 2, and 3 is complete. Phase 3 is scheduled to be complete by November 2020. Once they close the bridges, or when that takes place, which will not take place before the end of this year, they have 14 months to actually complete the project and get it back into service in the bridges. And if they do not, we have an incentive, disincentive to encourage that of $250,000 a day. I want to spend some time today talking about the actual closure of the mainline bridges when that takes place. This week, there's been some discussion that has come up in the media about the closure. I want to emphasize that like any other closure or changes that we've done on this project, we have taken time to create a public relation campaign utilizing media, our website, and other social media to inform the community and motorists as to what was going to take place. For example, when we closed 17th Street exit, we had a PR campaign. When we closed the 22nd Street we had a PR campaign. And lastly, when we opened the new ramps at 59, 20, and I-65, we ran that campaign for almost a month to inform the motorists of what was going to take place. So we will not do anything different when we actually close the mainline bridges. In fact, it will be even more that we will share with the citizens of Birmingham and motorists who will be coming through Birmingham. The elevated section through downtown Birmingham will close. It will not take place before the end of this year. We realize it's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. We realize that there will be congestion. We're working hard to identify where that congestion will take place and mitigate that, utilizing some modeling of the traffic. Our goal is to be prepared, inform you, and be proactive. Likewise, we encourage you to do the same. Be prepared. Be informed of what's going to take place, and be proactive in identifying new routes that you can take. Know that our detour for this project will actually take place even at the state line, where we'll be encouraging truckers who would normally come through 5920 to take alternate routes. And if they get to Tuscaloosa or to Addison, we're going to encourage them to use 459. That will be the through route to go around Birmingham, was to use 459 as our detour. There are other detour routes for local streets, and we'll go through those here shortly and show you those local street detours. Again, I encourage motorists to identify their detour route that they would have to use to get through downtown, and get familiar with it and utilize that detour now before we actually close the bridges. And as I said before, we will have a PR campaign that will inform you and the motorists as to how to maneuver through the project. And once we complete the project, this project will be something that Birmingham can be proud of, and it will serve the traveling public even better, and the level of service or the congestion level on the interstate should be even better. Now we're going to walk you through some of the detours, but I want to emphasize that these detours start at the state line, with the truckers being identified and encourage them to move. So let's preview some of the closures. Emphasize that these closures will only take place when the elevated section of 5920 is actually closed for the demolition and the reconstruction of the elevated section through downtown Birmingham, what we're calling the CBD bridge. And this is the section that you're looking at here. There will be a segmental section of the bridge. When we do close the bridge, there will be north and south routes that the contractor has to keep open. And those are between 15th and 18th Street and between 19th and 23rd Street. They have to keep one north and one southbound route open during that period of time. The mainline closure, well, as I mentioned earlier, we're encouraging motorists to use 459 or 65 for their routes if you're traveling westbound. So if you're coming in from Anniston, you get on 459, or if you're coming north or south from 59, you need to get on 459 to go around the city, or to get back into the main part of the city, or the downtown, you can go through 65. Utilizing the interstates is what we're encouraging. Keep in mind, we have gone in and resurfaced most of these routes, and they're in excellent condition. And so we will not have to be out there working on them primarily on most of the areas. And so that should facilitate even better movement once we close the bridge. This is some of the closures on the local routes, detours. If you're traveling westbound, utilizing Finley Boulevard or 3rd Avenue South or 25th Street to get into the city. This is a view of the new 25th Street exit ramp to get into the city of Birmingham. And that's how you would come in as according to this map. Or you can get off on 31st Street and come in on 12th Avenue. Or you could go to 6th Avenue or go down to 3rd Avenue South. So we encourage motorists to identify their route, get familiar with it, and use it. This is a view westbound. If you're trying to get out of downtown Birmingham, again, utilizing Caraway and or utilizing Finley Boulevard, or utilizing the new ramps at 11th Avenue. And that's what we're showing you on the right. Utilize the new ramps to get out of downtown to go either 65 northbound, southbound, or 59 southbound. If you're traveling eastbound, again, we encourage motorists to use the 5920 routes to get around the city, or to utilize 65 to go into the city. Our local routes are similar, as we stated in the other direction, utilizing Finley, Caraway, 3rd Avenue South, and 25th Street to get into the city. This is a view of the new 17th Street exit, and this is a view of the 6th Avenue exit that motorists can use to get into the city. This is a view of the exit ramp to get out of downtown Birmingham on 25th Street. So you can utilize it also to maneuver to get out of the city to continue 59 northbound or 20 east. We realize in the next week there will be a large gathering of people for the Magic City Classic. So we're encouraging motorists to utilize the new ramps. And so we're going to make this available on some of the websites, again, to encourage motorists how to use the new ramps. If you're traveling out of the city, to use 11th Avenue ramp to go 65 northbound, 65 southbound, or 59 southbound. Or to get into the city, use the 17th Street off-ramps. If you're traveling northbound on 65, get off and go down to 17th Street, utilize Reverend Abraham Woods. If you're traveling 65 southbound, utilize the ramp to the left, follow the ramp into 17th Street. Or if you're traveling 59 northbound, utilize the new ramp to the right and travel into the city by way of 17th Street. We have workers who are out there working daily. We encourage you to drive safely. We encourage you to slow down. Please pay attention and don't be distracted in your driving. We encourage you to be patient with us because progress takes time and sometimes it causes delays. And we encourage you to plan ahead in your travels. You can follow us on our website, 5920bridge.com, or Facebook, or with our Twitter page. And we encourage you to be safe in your driving so that we can get home. We want everybody else who are working out there to get home also. And with that, I'll take any questions if there's any.
Okay, we're going to unmute everybody's lines. Just as a reminder, all of the detour information and closure information about the mainline bridges is just a preview. This is not for immediate reporting. We're looking at a 2019 rollout and announcement of that. With that, we're going to go ahead and unmute everybody's phone lines. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to take them at this time.
Unmuted. Mr. Leonard, this is Alan Collins with WBRC. 2019, I know it's maybe unfair, but let me ask you, how far in 2019 do you envision some sort of action in January or later?
We do not have that date currently. We will be, hopefully by the next media briefing, we'll be able to give you a firm date that we'll be working toward.
Okay. And the next media briefing will be?
It will be in November.
November. Got you. So, like, as you mentioned, you get classic. You know, we'll be getting out information about using the ramps. You think for into and out of town was something definitely want to get out now. And you said highlighting the other detours will come later on, and such about that. Is the I take it, yeah, I think you've mentioned in the past, talking about some people going through downtown, that you guys are open to mitigating routes or something like that? Helping, adjusting as you look at how things develop, I guess, going through downtown?
We have a engineering firm who's monitoring and measuring the traffic currently, and they are modeling, and they're putting in some timing that we're going to use once the bridges are taken out of service. But they will also monitor that as the traffic utilizes the new patterns that they'll use as a part of the detours. And we'll make adjustments as we go through, and they'll continue to monitor that as we have the closure in place.
So Jarvis, can you share with Alan, just as an example, up on Finley, how we are doing some traffic programming up there in preparation for all of this?
Our goal is to have all the signals from 5th, where the ramp comes off at 5th Avenue, or the on-ramp at 5th Avenue, all the way to Finley Boulevard, to be all interconnected. When I say interconnected, they'll be talking to each other, minimize any delays, and allow traffic to move freely through them. We have made, we're going to add dual lefts at Finley, at Caraway onto Finley Boulevard going west. And we also will hopefully have dual rights if you're traveling east on Finley and south on Caraway. That is to facilitate that large movement that we anticipate from people getting off of the interstate at Red Mountain Expressway, utilizing Caraway to try to get on Finley to go back to 65 or to Arkadelphia. We have, so that's the goal primarily on that route.
So Jarvis, we've got a couple of questions on chat. The first question is, will the RME ramps at 25th Street and 27th Street South be improved to allow the ease of traffic flow from 3rd and 4th Avenue South?
Third and 4th Avenue South off-ramps and on-ramps in that area, we will look at that. We have not made any adjustments to the 3rd Avenue South ramps at this time. We are encouraging motorists probably to use 6th Avenue to Caraway, to get back to Caraway would be their best route versus going to 3rd Avenue South.
What about the ramps at 25th and 27th? Are there any improvements or changes planned there to ease flow off of 3rd and 4th?
We will look at that. We have not planned any changes there at 27th and 3rd and 4th. We will have our engineers to look at that area. Now, 25th Street is where the new ramps are that we're constructing, which provides new access off the interstate or on to the interstate. You go to 25th Street, and that would be 2 ramps, an exit ramp and an on-ramp. Once we close the interstate, motorists need to get familiar with those ramps and utilize those ramps, because that's the free-flowing ramps that we're constructing to facilitate the downtown traffic.
Another question we had was, will GPS navigation providers be provided updated information to reflect route changes and closures? I'll handle that.
Well, we also through our
have been for the last several.
Also through our TMC,
Yes.
we have a better connection with them also at this time.
Yes, and we have been providing that information for a while. One footnote to the media: about a year ago, Google and Waze, which are the largest providers, changed the way in which they do that, and they now use cell phones for automatic sensing of route and traffic patterns. So we've been told by the developers that it usually takes a matter of days, but once they start seeing the congestion feedback through people's cell phone tracking on their map devices, they automatically start putting alternate routes in place as well. So I want to give that question two answers. One, yes, we do provide that information, not just through the Alabama Department of Transportation systems, but also through direct contact with the developers. But two, those developers' platforms have been advanced in the last couple of years, that as you have your map program open, you are actually sending tracking information back to the developers as to what areas are congested and not congested, and they are auto adjusting their navigation systems. Do we have any other questions by audio? Mike, Kaysen, I see a couple of other people on here. Just want to make sure if there's anybody else with any other questions before we wrap up.
Hey, this is Mike Kaysen. I'm probably behind everybody else on this. I haven't read about this before. But, what did you say about the detours? You said that was a preview, and did you say not to report that now, or what?
Well, these detours will not be put in place until the actual bridges are closed, which will not take place until sometime in 2019. So we wanted to give the media and those who are participating an opportunity to see these detours that we have in place, and the work that we're doing behind the scenes to get ready for the closure. Earlier this week, there were some concerns that we were not being prepared for the closure, and we wanted to make everyone comfortable to know that we are working very hard behind the scenes to be ready for the closure.
Mr. Leonard, I guess just asking, I literally just walked in and got on the line here and haven't talked to my people, but do you have 5-10 minutes if I need to grab you later on for a quick interview on camera?
Who am I speaking with?
This is Alan Collins.
Oh, okay, I thought it was. I got your text.
Okay.
I was going to respond back to you when I finish.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from anybody out there today? All right, everybody, remember you can always reach out to Linda Crockett and anyone in the Birmingham office. We're also web and social media. Each of these monthly updates is archived on the web, and if you are not getting an email alert, please feel free to reach out to Linda. She does send a link out after every meeting so that these are accessible at any time going forward. There are no rights. You are welcome to use any of this for broadcast purposes. If you have any questions, get back with us, and with that, Jarvis, we'll let you wrap up.
Again, thank you for...
I'm sorry, we do have another question. Go ahead.
There's a question from Daryl Quinn in the chat.
Hey, Daryl had another question. Jarvis, can you talk about any predictive analytics that are being employed? I assume you mean in traffic programming. Daryl, Jarvis, are you aware of any predictive traffic signaling that's being put in place?
Well, I mentioned earlier that we are modeling the traffic current volumes. We've asked our consultant to provide us a presentation on that modeling to identify what we anticipate what the congestion levels will be on the detour routes. And that's what they'll use to try to mitigate by utilizing the signal systems through the northern grid to facilitate that traffic congestion in a better way, or try to get to mitigate the traffic congestion. So that's what we're planning. And Councilor Quinn will be glad to provide and update you on that modeling once we finish going through it.
Great. Did do you have anything else to add for today, Jarvis?
Again, I just thank everyone for participating, and we encourage you to be a participant in this project. If you see something, don't hesitate to call us. You're our eyes and our ears out there, and it helps us identify any issues that we have. And again, thank you for participating.
As your host for this call today, thank you all so much for joining us, and please be safe out there in your travels. Bye-bye.
Thank you.